afternoon, everyone. This is RAND, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, April 21, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be having a Time for Change call this Wednesday night after 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about the wealth transfer, the real wealth transfer, amongst other things. When we imagine, we all imagine, we have imaginations. And so we imagine things, and then a lot of the times we just kind of go, nice thought, but if we really knew that whatever we imagined is real, can exist across the board. You imagine yourself being the way you want your life to be, okay? You, nobody else, just the way that you've always thought about the type of life you want. Not saying that you aren't deeply grateful for the life that you are currently experiencing. Remember, we all deserve the best of everything. We're all gods in these bodies. We deserve the best of everything. It's just, and it is unfortunate in some ways that we haven't, collectively, as a civilization, we haven't experienced that, really. A few, but not the many. And it is all about the many. Because it helps adjust. It helps us experience different things about life from that perspective. Where we are, you look at your life and you're deeply grateful, period. And you add things because you want to. Then you experience them. You might say, I added that, and I thought maybe that would be fun or interesting, and it turned out to be a flat pancake, so you just let it go. Imagine that when everything shifts and it's in your direction of guidance. Instead of the ego mind's guidance, it's yours. You decide and determine, and you manifest it. Period. Being aware is huge. Being clear and aware is huge. Self-awareness with clarity. Which means what? Well, it means that you know that you have all these different choices, and you know that you're on to something when you have committed yourself to go within and discover that you're the God. Period. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And the point is that the only way you experience that is because you're aware of the ego mind and its efforts to keep you in its world. You begin to become aware of that. So it will always want you in its world. Then you say, well then, I don't care to be in its world. My desire, what I want to do is I want to go within in the heart mind and stay in the now. It does take discipline. It isn't something that can be like some people would like it to happen in, a couple of days. It doesn't work that way because we've been so deep-seated, ingrained with this ego, mind, and material physical world that not just this lifetime, but a lot of others. So we look at it and say, well, I know this. When you start to be able to differentiate between the two, now you're onto something. And I don't mean, not from a vindictive, angry, revengeful thing with the ego mind. It's more of a friendship, and you would like your friend to be at peace, and you know that it's not. Right? So the only way that it will find peace is through you going into the heart mind, in the now. But we do, all of us, none of us are exempt from it. We go in, we look at the future, right? And we wonder. I wonder what would happen. I wonder what will happen in a month or in a year. Or I wonder where I'll be then. And there's nothing wrong with wondering about it. And past, like I've said, we reminisce and we go in the past and we think of certain things that have happened. And we do touch on the good, the bad, and the ugly when we go into the past. Not for the purpose of being negative, but referencing. So we reference these things, and we don't stay there, then we leave it, and then we kind of fade off into the future, and then we begin to realize, wait a minute, the future, I'm in the future. The future's now. I'm creating my own future by how I am in the now. Now, the past you don't create because, of course, it is past. It's gone. But the future is in the now. And because of that, you then begin to realize that every step you take affects your future. Now, some of us can get into a downward spiral and be kind of depressed and irritable for a long time. It could be for years. Crazy stuff like that, where we hang on to something. And why is that? Why is it that way? It's because of the ego mind's influence. Why do we usually get sad? Why do we become sad? Right? It's usually because of a loss or something that we've had to give up. Stuff like that makes us sad. People leaving the body makes us sad. Relationships that don't work out make us sad. Why is that? Because we form attachments and expectations in the material physical world. When you become attached to something, and that something ends up not being there anymore, you're sad because you were attached to it. It's just like you have a couple that's been together for 50, 60 years, right? And then one of them passes, just gone. Well, you're used to being around that being for a long time, comparatively speaking. Now they're no longer around. And so you do everything yourself, but you were so dependent on them. And then you end up, in most cases, leaving. You ever notice that? That some of us will just leave in a very short period of time after the other has left. I've known people who have manifested, personally known them, where they have a loved one pass and they manifest wanting to be with them. And they end up leaving. Isn't that something? I have a friend of mine who, it was 5 years ago, maybe, a little more. God, I can't believe it's been that long. And they were so connected with their mother that they didn't want the mother to leave. Mother had cancer. And they were so connected with their mother that they said to the mother, to their mother, if you leave, then I'm leaving, I'm going to leave too. I mean, that, and it was not, you know how you'll make a statement about something, and it really isn't, it's not heart-minded. But this was heavy duty. And so lo and behold, a few years later, she came down with cancer. And I said to her, you've manifested this. And she said, well, I don't, we use the word I don't want. She didn't want. She had changed her mind. She wanted to stay in the body longer. But unfortunately, it had already begun, and it was already manifested. And what happened? She passed. Which was about, 5 years ago, roughly. Maybe that long. Wow. And this happens. We don't, because we're not clear enough and not aware enough. And we've got to be very careful, because we're such powerful beings in these bodies, to manifest that stuff. Now, see, we don't believe it. We don't believe that we're that powerful. We don't believe that we're powerful, period. And we don't believe that we can manifest things like that. But we can. There really isn't anything we can't manifest. There's no limitations. There never has been. It is through our programming that we gain limitations with ourselves. That's it. That's the only way. When you get limitations, right? What happens? Well, it's like you hit the ceiling. You're on a trampoline, right? And you know that on that trampoline you can only go so high before your head hits the ceiling. So you keep it, and you're consciously watching it so that you don't bump your head into the ceiling. And a lot of the times when we manifest, we don't know we're manifesting. Isn't that strange? So something comes into our life, and we go, why did this happen? And then there's a lot of people that will say, look up above them and ask God why this is happening. And they say, well, God, why is this happening to me? And the interesting thing, the ironic thing is that what? You are the God. And you manifested that. But you haven't put that together yet. I often get people saying that if we were able, or let's say when we're able and aware and clear enough, we can direct our thoughts to exactly what we are wanting. It could be a relationship. It could be anything. Can be anything. And so, if we're that clear and we have mastered our thoughts, then we can really direct it any way we want. Exactly. You create, you manifest something into your life, like I have shared before, and you purposely leave some things unattended, okay? So that when that does manifest in your life, there are a couple of turns, right? And then you know that you can handle those turns. Sometimes unconsciously we manifest things that are just basically and tremendously overwhelming. But we believe at the time of manifesting, no, it's not going to be a big deal. See, when you're not in body, and you're looking at this planet as a God, and let's face it, at that point you're in nirvana, You're like way high on bliss. And you look at the planet and you look at all the things happening on the planet. This is after you've left the body, okay? And I call it, you get situated. And you acclimate yourself that you believe that you have verified the fact that you're not the body, that you're not in the body. And you're not carrying the body, okay? And you say, just for experience purposes, that, yeah, I could do that, I could do this, and I could do that. So what you do is you go into another body. What you don't know is that you won't have memory. Those are the things that we don't know. Isn't that wild? But we do have access. We got a pocket full of keys. You ever had that? You got a bunch of keys. They're not your keys. And you're trying to find a key that's going to open a lock. And you're fumbling through all these keys, and you're getting frustrated. You know, why didn't they mark it? Or why didn't they tell me? You know, and why didn't they show me the key? They just gave me a bunch of keys on this key ring and just said, here, you know, one of these will open the door. So you're fumbling around, getting frustrated. And then when you calm down, you finally find the key that opens the lock. And when you open the lock, you go, wow, look at all of this stuff. Look at all these thoughts and memories and information. And it's all connected to me. Where has this stuff all been? And through this little thing called amnesia. But there's a way that you can access your past lives. And you do it in this meditation, and you do it exactly as you're suggested to do it. You relax into the body. It's the only way the body's going to ever relax anyway. You're as still as a statue, and you focus on your breath rising and falling. You're in a comfortable position. And then you say to the universe, I want to know, and you've got to be careful, okay? Just say you want to know parts of your past life. Not 3,000 years ago, but the one you left before you entered this one. That's your adjustment, emotionality and stuff. You're able to adjust to that emotionally. Because I'll guarantee you, if you had access right now, lickety-split, plain as day, wide open, no obstacles, to all your past lives, it would be, you would be torn apart, emotionally wise. Now, to view one, that's a different story, because you want to know, because we're curious, right? And it's not like we're ignoring our present life or that we're not grateful for our present life. There are things that we would like to know to see if they would help us in our current life. That maybe, and for reference purposes in our past life, would help us with certain things. Makes sense, right? We're not greedy, and it's not like we want to know all our past lives. We start off with just one step at a time. And you want to know your past life. And it is, see, it's not ego mind, because you will not ever discover a past life through ego mind, ever. But through heart-mindedness, you discover your past life, and then you're given an opportunity, basically, to review it. It can be dangerous, depending how much you're steeped in ego mind. That's the key. This is why I always talk about moving from ego mind, mastering the ego mind by practicing staying in the heart mind. It's kind of a preparation for discovering past life. And if you don't do it, it's dangerous. If you don't do it and you just think through ego mind that you can, melt away the veil that's stopping you from reviewing that life, you're in for some big surprises. And people say, well, isn't it this is just the way it's designed, right? That we're not supposed to know our past lives. No, that's just a bunch of crap. There are creatures that have manipulated and messed with our memories so that we don't have recall of past life from being physical material, being in physical material. But when you can so-called ascertain, differentiate that, and you're in heart-mindedness, it's different. See, you're with the God that you are, and so you're not attached. You don't have expectations. You just want to review how that life was, some of the things you did in that life, if any of it's going to help you in this life. And that's what a lot of us want. That's why it gets frustrating for those of us who are aware enough that, maybe my past life before this one would help me with some of these things. And that's a good, solid request, right? It doesn't make sense to those that are aware enough to repeat this over and over and over again. It does make sense that we want to reincarnate for experience purposes and move in higher levels of perfection. But we want the memory. We want to be able to recollect. Now, you will advance enough where that won't be necessary because you'll move into heart-mindedness permanently, and you'll learn that you, as a God, you can tap in to the cosmos. You can tap into all of it. Within seconds, all your lifetimes would just flash, or you slow them way down and see them all. See, because you created them. Why wouldn't you be allowed to see them? That's crazy. It's a manipulation and a deception. And for us to acknowledge that is great. That, as gods, we've been deceived, we've been seduced, and we've been we've been tricked, so to speak, in this universal structure. And then we get more curious, like a kid would. You get more and more curious. You want to know more. Now, some of the gurus that have long left would say, your focus is now, not then. Right? Your focus is now, not then. Your focus is on your current life and not then, not your past lives. They can't help you. Be in the now. You are in the now. But it's like a reference library. If you don't know something, you go and you pick up a book or something that's going to show you. Then you're going to know. But to live in a constant state of amnesia, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, is absolutely ludicrous, crazy. And this is why people say, well, when will a time come where I'll be able to know it? You plug in to the cosmic intellect. All that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. Which is all the species, all life, and all that there is. Which is what? God. It's all life, everything. Maybe you've met somebody that says they don't like to kill anything. Bugs, doesn't matter what it is. Right? Because it's life. Life is the highest supreme value in the universe. And then others that they're not there with that yet think, what are you, it's crazy. It's just a bug. It's just an insect. Well, with that perspective, of course, is why we've eliminated 99% of all life on this planet. It's just a bug. It's just a blade of grass. See what I mean? And for instance, what would happen if we were really never interested in mowing our lawns? Okay, what would happen? It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That we had this natural growth and it wasn't, and it actually ended up being beautiful and different and some of the things we do as we have been conditioned to do, conditioned to think a certain way, to view certain things certain ways. It's always been that way. When we move more in deep eternal love with ourselves and the gods that we are within these bodies, and then we flip the switch, and we're the ones, not ego mind, we're the ones knowingly, clearly manifesting. We know. We direct it. It's not like, it's not about control. It's just knowing. It's a big difference. You just know. And whatever it is you want to create or manifest, you create or manifest. And all of us will eventually move into that practice. And then, beyond that, it'll become permanent. The whole spectrum of how things have been laid out on this planet is completely out of kilter. Completely out of kilter. It doesn't give us the opportunity to see anything. And the influence is what? What is the influence on all of us? It's what we believe. That's the influence. And since, the ego mind is front and center, that's our influence. So our thoughts are directed by how we choose them and how we experience life, because it's what we manifest. And we choose them knowingly or unknowingly. In heart-mindedness, all you're doing is to say, something, I would like this, and you go through it, and you're in detail, because you want to experience it. So you manifest things that you want to experience. And if you come across things that you manifest and say, I don't really care to experience that anymore, then you let it go. You release it. And see, one of my technologies, the Broad Range Replicator, teaches you how to do that. Join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Relaxed into your body. Focused on your breath rising and falling. Love is your life's mission. Feel the love that is bubbling inside your heart. Experiencing the energy of pure love and acceptance allows us instant access to our highest possible mission in life. Set aside your personal agonies, whatever your ego's agenda is for right now. Relax into this love. It is deep within you. There is nothing more wonderful and satisfying for you to do with your time now. It's amazing how simple and beautiful life can really, really, really be. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Tuesday, April 22, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on within you, nor outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.